gentlemen, welcome back. We are doing Fantasy Football's top 15 running backs in today's video. If you guys are new to the channel, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. The support I get means the world. It helps me out so very much. I cannot thank my current subscribers enough. I could not do this without you guys. I have broken the running back position into 3 tiers for these top 15 players. So let's get into 2022's first version of running back rankings. The running back position seems to be deeper than it has been over the last couple of years, with 2021 breakouts and established veterans all in positions to carry a significant load this season. For my 3 tiers, the third has plenty of upside, and honestly, they could all explode this season if things break right. Into tier number 2, it is filled with players who have performed at elite levels, but many of them have injury concerns that keep me from placing them in the top of the list. We know that the running back position always carries significant risk, and none are riskier than those in tier 2 for me this year. To tier 1, and it is all the players that I feel are best set up for success. All but one playing elite offenses, which will give them plenty of scoring opportunities, and most importantly, each has shown an excellent ability to contribute in the passing game. I am going 15-1, so buckle up and let's get it. J.K. Dobbins is the first back that I am going to talk about, and some may scoff at my placement of Dobbins in the top 15, but at least hear me out first before deciding for yourself. JK was one of my favorite breakout candidates before he tore his ACL during the 3rd preseason game of 2021. And this is a good time to note, take notes on this, commissioners. This is why you always draft as late as possible, and preferably after the 3rd preseason game, because we know the 4th one is peanuts anyway. The silver lining here is that Dobbins is going to have an entire year to recover, and ACL injuries are not what they once were. This means that he should be good to go starting 2022 at 100%. And there is a lot to love about what we have seen from him already and the current situation in Baltimore. Everybody knows that the Ravens are one of the more run-heavy teams in the league. They ranked number 1 in 2020 and number 3 in that category last year. They will be one of the 5 most run-heavy squads in 2022 once again, judging by their personnel. Last season, the Ravens were dying to find a feature back, and between the rotating door of Devonta Freeman, Tyson Williams, and Latavius Murray, nearly 1,300 yards were racked up. Enter J.K. Dobbins, who could assume that role immediately. His talent is far ahead of any of the running backs on this roster, and though he's going to see touches from time to time, the Ravens are going to have to keep him on the field. The kid averaged 6 yards per carry during his rookie season. That is no joke, and even though that number is going to dip at least a little bit, his efficiency can still be among the best in the league. With a wide receiver room that is lacking depth, and only Mark Andrews as an established threat to consistent touches, there is going to be a lot of work for Dobbins in the upcoming season. There is valid concerns about what the split is going to be in Baltimore, but I believe the talent wins out with Dobbins, and he gets the lion's share. If we tack on his ability to produce in the passing game, a breakout seems inevitable. There is certainly risk, but the reward could be great for Dobbins in 2022. I am rolling the dice if the opportunity arises, because he has legit top 7 upside. Javonte Williams is next at 14, and curses to you, Melvin Gordon. Why did you have to come back? Williams was destined to see a massive role in one of the most improved offenses of the offseason. The hype train was in full steam until that signing, and has now slowed to a slow jog for me. Williams will be more featured in 2022, but after a nearly 50-50 split last year with Gordon on the roster, I am hesitant to dive in with both feet. Are we really certain that all of a sudden, Gordon is merely there to spell Williams? The touch count for each is going to be really hard to figure out week to week, and Gordon was actually the better runner of the two last year. Now, passing work, that is going to favor Williams. That is a big plus. But I am terrified of Gordon vulturing scores when they're in close. Melvin had twice as many scores on the ground last season than Javonte did. I am hoping that the talent wins out, but it is telling that Denver did not feel comfortable with Williams as the guy. While the floor rises in Russell Wilson coming to town, the ceiling shrinks with Gordon returning. Williams will surpass 1,000 yards on the ground, and he should do plenty of damage in the passing game as well. But unless there is some sort of injury, it is going to be hard for him to make that big leap forward that many of us were hoping for. Do not overpay for him, but he will return value at this price point, and he has the upside to be a league winner if the best case scenario plays out. To 13, and it is Aaron Jones, who is in an eerily similar situation to Williams. He has all the talent in the world, but he's going to see touches on a regular basis to another talented back in A.J. Dillon. Now, the plus here is that Green Bay is destined to depend on the running game more this season, so there should be plenty of opportunities to go around. And even with injuries, Jones finished as a top 10 back last year with Dillon still siphoning work. The issue I see is that the Packers offense is likely to take a step back without Davante Adams, and there's certainly a lack of proven weapons on the outside, which could mean heavy boxes more often than not. Aaron Rodgers is certainly talented enough to overcome them, but to what extent is still a big question mark. Jones will be the more heavily utilized back in passing situations, and he is superior in the screen game to Dillon. But AJ had more carries last year, and it is not out of a question that happens again. These concerns pull Jones out of my top 10, but he certainly has the ability to get there. If the offense remains fairly potent as a number one wideout emerges, the pack could thrive, meaning plenty of scoring chances for Jones. There are a lot of ifs this year for Aaron Jones, but his floor is going to be steady and dependable. He is a really safe pick to finish in this range. I have Cam Akers in at number 12, and another 2021 preseason darling that was never realized due to an injury. The stage is set for a big year for Cam Akers. Forget what you saw in the playoffs. Akers should be fully recovered by the time 2022 starts, and if he is going to shine like a Hollywood star for LA. The Rams are destined to be one of the top scoring offensive attacks this year, and Akers should be the bell cow for them. The concerns are warranted to an extent when it comes to Darrell Henderson, but Sean McVay showed that he prefers a true number one back with support to a full-on committee. Akers is the most talented back on the roster, and I believe that he takes that spot early on. With it, Akers is going to ball out. We saw the success of both Henderson and Sony Michel in this offense last year, and Cam is superior in all facets. With defenses keying in on the passing game, he is likely to see plus opportunities often, and he will capitalize on them. He is one of my favorite value picks due to the upside of LA's offense. Keep an eye on Cam during the preseason if he plays to gauge his Achilles, because if he's not 100%, then he is going to drop, but if he is, I am pouncing on him. Moving on, and it is Leonard Fournette in at number 11, and he really could not have had a better offseason. After the quarterback situation was in flux for all of a month, Tom Brady's return means once again the Bucs are going to be putting up a ton of points. Ronald Jones took his services elsewhere, and Tampa did everything that they could to help rebuild that offensive line in front of them. It is likely going to be a little bit worse in 2022, but it still should be solid. The situation with Chris Godwin's return is a wash at worst, and at best it means even more usage for Lenny. The only concern that I see is the addition of running back Rachaad White in the 3rd round, who was probably the best pass catching back available in the draft. Now, he is likely to steal some work on 3rd down, but I highly doubt it is anything more than that. After setting the league on fire over his last 4 games, Fournette is still primed to pick up where he left off and do a little more heavy lifting for the Bucs on the ground. His resurgence will continue in Tampa. And now we get to my second tier, and it starts at number 10 with DeAndre Swift. His spot in the top 10 is all about the work that he does in the passing game, though he did have a few big games on the ground last year too. After receiving 78 targets in a year cut short by injuries, he should see another hefty workload through the air. Swift has shown an elite ability to produce with the ball in his hands, and especially when he's out in space, and he's going to showcase that again this year. Last year, he had to do it without a whole lot of help. This season is going to be different. Detroit added Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown broke out, and TJ Hawkinson is going to be healthy coming into the year. The Lions' offense is going to be a lot better, and it is a big bonus for his scoring prospects in 2022. The only thing holding him back from being ranked even higher is Jared Goff, but unfortunately that isn't changing for at least one more season. Alvin Kamara Light will nonetheless have an opportunity to supplant his superior this season, and perhaps even earn a nickname fitting of his talents. Speaking of Kamara, he is here at number 9, and there is no denying that Alvin was put in cannot win situations last year. All through it, he mustered a top 10 finish with the likes of Ian Book, Trevor Siemian, and Taysom Hill pretending to throw the ball, so a healthy Jameis Winston is a welcome sight. I am concerned about his efficiency drop from last year because 3.7 yards per carry is putrid, but I attribute that to the lack of options around him and said quarterback situation more than anything else. With the presumed return of Michael Thomas, newly signed Jarvis Landry, and first-round pick Chris Olave now in town, the Saints' offense is going to look significantly better this year. With the passing game taking a step forward, Kamara should see far less attention and have more fields to work with where he makes defenses pay. His efficiency is going to spike because of it, and we have seen what Pete Kamara can do. I doubt that he gets back there fully without Sean Payton, but the upside is still excellent. I am just a little hesitant to put my eggs in Jameson Winston's basket. But hey, at least it's not crap, because then I would be screwed for sure. The next back that I am looking at is Nick Chubb. He is my 8th ranked player, and he was hard to place because the quarterback situation in Cleveland is still in flux. So I decided to go with a happy medium here for now. With Watson playing a full 17 games, Chubb is a cannot miss top 5 player at the position for me. Right now, he's gonna have to settle for 8th. There is no more consistent running back in the game right now than Nick Chubb. He is going to rush for 1,000 yards, he is going to score 8 or more touchdowns, and he is going to average at least 5 yards per carry. All that, and he's probably not going to get hurt doing it. It is hard to ask for more. I wish we could though, so that Chubb's receiving game would elevate, but that just seems greedy. Cleveland's offense got better with the addition of Amari Cooper, and while Kareem Hunt is going to steal some work, Nick's role in this offense is defined. With Watson, the upside would become sky high. Chubb is everything that you want in an RB1, besides the catching thing, and there's not a safer pick in 2022 at the running back position. Najee Harris is next at 7, and he's going to be looking to build on an excellent statistical season for Pittsburgh. There are plenty of reasons to be concerned, so we're going to cover those first. The yards per carry average, the quarterback situation, and the offensive line. The Steelers worked to rectify the issue up front, and it should be better this year, so that is a plus. The quarterback situation, though, is a big question mark. Whether it is Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, my guess is that there's going to be average quarterback play at best for the position in 2022. The good news, though, is that is pretty much what he had last year, and he finished as RB4 in 2021. As for the efficiency, I am hopeful that there is improvement, but it is far from guaranteed. The saving grace, of course, for Harris is going to be his volume once again. I expect the Steelers to feed him until he cannot take another bite and then make him go back for seconds. Outside of Deontay Johnson, there just are not weapons in this offense that a defense needs to be concerned with. It'll be another Derrick Henry-sized workload week in and week out for Najee, and the numbers are going to follow. And look, there goes that man now. It's Derrick Henry here at 6. I am down more on Henry than most in 2022, and with good reason. I begged the Titans last year to relent on his workload, and they just did not listen, and I was right. Who says that I can't be right again about him finishing outside of the top 5? Henry is an animal between the tackles, and he has the size, strength, and speed that few can match. But I am worried after his efficiency plummeted last year and he broke his foot. The ridiculous workload that he has undertaken over the last 3 seasons is validation. Is he still the same guy that we saw in 2019 and 2020? Can he return to that type of production? I am not so sure. Now, there is certainly a chance, and maybe I am being overly pessimistic here, but I cannot shake the feeling that he is on a downward slope from here on out. With that out of the way, let's take a look at what keeps Henry here. No one attempted more rushes than the Titans in 2021, and after losing A.J. Brown and replacing him with Treylon Burks, Tennessee is not going to all of a sudden just ask Ryan Tannehill to sling it around. The volume is going to be there. The offensive line will remain right around the league average with an opportunity to take a step forward with the continuity that they have. Henry's also had plenty of time to recover and rebuild his superhuman body, so he'll be right back to the current 100% version of himself by the time the season rolls around. With all of my concerns, the upside for Henry is overall RB1, and that has to be taken into consideration too. I may have my doubts, but plenty have been proven wrong in the past for doubting King Henry. Time will tell if I am added to that list. Which brings us to my top 5, and it is Christian McCaffrey here, another stud, but this one with more massive injury concerns. I really don't like that inside of my top 5, but CMC's production when he is healthy is second to none. He finds creases that would make would-be tacklers look silly on the ground, and he's got the route running ability and savvy of a wide receiver in the passing game. He is matchup proof no matter how sorry his offensive line is or how poor his supporting cast around him looks. He is the complete package. This is a make or break year for McCaffrey, who played in just 10 games over the past 2 seasons. Now, if he can stay healthy and on the field, he will prove right those who have kept the faith. If he gets banged up once again and misses significant time, he might not crack the top 20 next year. I am going to believe that he turns around the narrative and helps elevate a Panthers offense that really needs it. At just 25 years old, he's got plenty left in the tank. And even with all of the risk, he still belongs in the top 5. To start off my first tier, I have Joe Mixon in at number 4. And I just have one question. What am I missing here? After an epic 2021 campaign where Mixon absolutely blew up, scoring 16 total touchdowns on the way to the RB3 overall finish, I am still consistently seeing Mixon outside of the top 5. If anything, the outlook this year is better than it was last season. Cincinnati reworked a poor offensive line in a big way. They will make massive strides up front and create more space for Mixon to pick up chunk yardage. Joe Burrow didn't go anywhere. He has the best wide receiver trio in the NFL, and he has another year under his belt after a trip to the Super Bowl. Is anyone thinking that he is going to take a step back? The elite passing game means few loaded boxes, another plus. Cincinnati is going to be able to score with anybody, and while I admit that touchdown regression could certainly come, it is not a given. Mixon just had the best season catching passes of his entire career. He is only 25 years old, and he does not have a ton of wear and tear on his body at this stage in his career. I get the concern from 2020, I really do. But the upside here is just too much for me to drop him any lower than this. Joe Mixon has a solid encore in 2022. Haters beware. Starting my top 3, I have Dalvin Cook, and there is a lot to love about him in 2022. I will start with the coaching change, which I believe works wonders on the offense as a whole. No longer stuck in the dark ages of the NFL, Kevin O'Connell is going to open things up and utilize one of the best playmaker groups in the league. Minnesota's offense has legit top 5 upside next year, and Dalvin Cook is the cog that gets it all going. With Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen to worry about, Cook is going to see plus opportunities on the ground. He is also elite in the passing game when he's given a little space. The biggest concern has been injuries, but after missing 17 games in his first 2 years, he's missed just 8 games over his last 3. That is a price that I am willing to pay for a guy that's going to give me a 20-piece anytime he's in my lineup. Minnesota's offensive line is young and improving, and the continuity here should mean a solid step forward. After scoring 30 touchdowns in 2019 and 2020 combined, Cook had only 6 last season. There's some really positive regression coming in the most important spot in the game. Cook will get to double-digit scores and will flirt with 1,500 total yards for Minnesota. Austin Ekeler is next at number 2, and the case for Ekeler at 2 is pretty simple. He finished here last year. The offense is basically the same, the defense is better, and little competition was added to threaten his touches. I am not worried about 4th round pick Isaiah Spiller doing much more than Justin Jackson or Larry Roundtree did in 2021, which means Ekeler got to get his bib ready. After jumping over 200 carries for the first time in his career and receiving nearly 100 targets, pound for pound showed that he has the ability to carry the load of a true workhorse back, and the results speak for themselves. Ekeler is impossible to bring down with a single tackler in space, and he has ridiculous strength for his size. He is capable near the goal line and has the speed to get to the edge. He finds soft spots in the defense as a receiver, and he runs routes like a seasoned vet. There is no weakness in his game. The Chargers last year were top 5 in both yards and points per game, and I expect the same with another year of maturation for Justin Herbert. LA is going to once again light up the scoreboard, and Ekeler will find himself there often. He is a serious threat to my number 1 overall running back, which is Jonathan Taylor, and he's certainly going to do everything in his power to make sure he holds onto his title as fantasy's premier back. He will be hard to stop. After an MVP caliber season, things just got better for Taylor. A quarterback upgrade to Matt Ryan is quite a start, and in April he got even more help, both on the offensive line and in the wide receiver room. The depth along the line is always a welcome sight, and the Colts needed a weapon to pair out wide with Michael Pittman. Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati in the 2nd round will work. After producing big time in an offense led by Carson Wentz, with only Pittman to threaten in the passing game, Taylor could take a step forward with the improvement in his surroundings. He may have started 2021 off slow, but he was my best call of the season as I promoted buying him after week 5 last year. He was the RB1 for the rest of the way. The chosen one scored in 11 straight games from weeks 4 to week 15, and he had 10 100-yard performances. In half of those, he cracked 140 yards. Taylor is just 22 years old and is only scratching the surface of his capabilities. He could hold on to this spot for years to come, and he is my number 1 running back in fantasy football. And with that, I will bid you farewell until we meet again. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and I am open to suggestions. Drop those in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know how I did on these rankings. That is what makes this so fun. And if you are new to the channel, or if you haven't done it yet, or if you enjoyed content either now or in the past, a like and a subscribe would be very greatly appreciated. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.